Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with the guts to start at Season 10. I'm your host, Johnny Odell, social media manager for The Walking Dead. With me, as always, we got Alexandra August. She is our podcast producer, along with Woody Tondorf, our Skybound games producer. Guys, always a pleasure to talk to you. How the hell are you?
So good.
Pretty good. Generally, I've been playing a bit of the Last of Us 2 and just forgetting that series is just absolutely terrifying. So, that's going great.
Wow, you're playing The Last of Us 2 while also raising a small baby. How is that going?
Yeah.
All of us are up in the middle of the night crying.
Fantastic.
I watch a lot of Matlock because I'm hanging out with my mom and she really likes mysteries. And there's a channel that jumps from Matlock to Diagnosis Murder to Heart to Perry Mason all day long.
If you say Matlock 3 times in a row, my mom will literally appear. Same with Columbo. During this hiatus, we have been doing Talk Dead to Me Reanimated, basically going back to iconic episodes, talking to iconic guests, and this week is no different. We're covering the Season 7 finale of The Walking Dead called The First Day of the Rest of Your Life, directed by Greg Nicotero, written by Scott M. Gimple, Angela Kane, and Matthew Negrete, which is just like the Mount Rushmore of Walking Dead writers,
Seriously.
honestly. And what can fine folks expect?
Look, welcome new fans. What a time to jump into the podcast. And to the old fans, look at you. Look how far we've come. You look fantastic today. Let's do it. Yeah, we're going to do winners and losers. We're going to pick the people who we thought were doing the best in the episode and the people who really just let us down. We are not going to do Dunked On this week. No, we've eschewed that for a fun segment that we're calling Death Song that will pertain to the episode that we are talking about. Don't you worry. Going to be great. Great segment. And then a fan favorite, my favorite, Johnny's favorite, Alexandra hates it, Apocatips. Where
I don't
I'm
hate
putting
it,
words in
I
Alexandra's
hate
mouth.
you. It's a difference.
Apocatips and I are one and the same, so that's fine. And that's where we talk about things that you can learn from the apocalypse based on the episode that we just watched. And then finally, we have a special guest on the special interview. I'm not gonna spoil it, but oh my gosh, to get a celebrity like her, what a get.
There's a small part of me who's like, my life has been waiting up until this moment. It's been I'm so excited.
Season 7 finale, just a quick recap. Sasha is imprisoned by Negan. Eugene is now on the other side, literally the dark side. He's wearing darker clothes right now. We have the big Negan, Alexandria, Rick meetup. Jadis is involved. The kingdom comes at the last second. Shiva mauls a savior. It's just, there's a lot of fantastic moments. And of course, it wouldn't be The Walking Dead or a big death episode without some amazing, throwbacks to some old characters who are no longer with us. I mean, can you even do a death episode anymore on the show without having a dead character show up?
No, you've got it's like a turnstile of dead characters coming back. Yeah.
Without further ado, we're going to go on to winners and losers.
Time to kick shit and eat snakes. Some people are winning, some people are losing, but it's The Walking Dead, so everyone turns.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm going to start us off. My winner this week is Shiva. Now, Shiva has just been, she's a very exciting addition to the series. Obviously, it had been someone I was very much looking forward to seeing because she was in the comics. People who are watching the show are probably just completely shocked that a tiger is now a part of the cast.
Dude, no exaggeration. One of my favorite characters on the show.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And before all this, Shiva's just kind of been by Ezekiel's side, just chilling, doing this or that. And this was the episode where she really got to show her teeth. I mean, she comes out of nowhere and amazing timing. This is a smart tiger, by the way. I mean, waiting just as Negan was going to cock the bat back and kill Carl. That's when she attacks. She could have attacked earlier. She could have attacked a second later. She was probably going to do it earlier. And
she's a show tiger. She knew how to make an entrance. She knew what she was doing.
Yes.
She knew, she was at the zoo. She was like, I know if I'm fancy, it gets people excited and coming back. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that Zeke trained Shiva extensively to attack at the raising of a baseball bat. So really, at that point, it's just, the training kicks in.
And is there anything better than Negan's reaction to it, where he's like, holy shit, it's a goddamn tiger?
Negan gets two, genuine holy shit moments when
Sasha comes out of the coffin and, holy shit!
Yeah, oh my god, the stunt fall also off the truck, which looks like it's just so good.
I think they did that in one take.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, they were like, oh my God, it's the end of the day. Like, we have to move on to the shot. Like, Eugene has to go and talk about tests and cheats.
And you know what? Shiva's still, like, I mean, there's been some questionable CGI throughout the series, and obviously I love the show. Otherwise, I wouldn't host the podcast or have this job. But I'm glad that, you know, I'll take shitty CGI explosions and deer variety if it means that we have a pretty realistic-looking tiger not just mauling a savior, but then cut to a few moments later, and she is just eating his face.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Shiva was down to business. I mean, as somebody who did not know to expect a tiger in The Walking Dead, I didn't realize that Shiva was CGI until like a good solid several episodes into seeing her on a regular basis. That may just be my lack of observation, but it's really good CGI.
What do you think the truck ride was like for the Saviors going back to the sanctuary after that, being like, was that it? Did a fucking tiger eat Peter's face? Did that fucking happen?
But I'm just happy that Shiva finally got her moment, and she honestly saved the day. So my loser this week is actually one of the scavengers that was up 99-0 against Michonne and using her face as a punching bag, and she had it right there. I mean, obviously, I don't want to see Michonne die, but if you're going to kill Michonne, kill her right there when you have the opportunity. But somehow, I mean, you know, she whiffs it like the Warriors in 2016, thank you, and ends up at the bottom of the tower, and Michonne wins, and that's fantastic. So she is definitely a loser. I don't know how you lose any harder than that. I mean,
and her hair was so neat and tidy. She seemed like she had such a surgical personality, and yet, nope, just had to lean into that win and caused her to lose.
My first clue that she did not exactly have this matchup won off the bat was when she when the big heel turn happens, the betrayal happens. She points her sniper rifle at her at point blank range and looks through the scope.
That is.
I was like, okay,
that's like Call of Duty 101. I mean,
yeah, like tunnel vision, dude. You're not looking. You're about to get assassinated.
I think what this tells us that there's room for exactly one condescending scavenger with a gun, and that condescending scavenger was Jadis, who basically like does nothing but kind of just snarl and be cooler than everyone else in her immediate surroundings until she decides to leave Alexandria because shit got weird. Like, she pushes Rick off a ledge. Like, she's like, come on, get down. Told you to get down. What are you doing? Like,
oh yeah, Jadis is like the Susan Collins of villains in The Walking Dead. She's like, I don't know what I want. I'm disappointing. Alexandra. I don't even think I should take that out, honestly. I mean, no, like Susan Collins, is anyone like her? Alexandra, who are your winners and losers?
Actually, guys, I had initially my winner was Michonne, because Michonne did her one job and this week. But actually,
well.
Our last conversation, I think my winner is Jadis. Because nobody...
Okay.
I remember watching that and being like, oh, I fucking knew you were not to be trusted. And Rick, so shitty you have. Like, what the schmuck?
Yes.
But yeah, Jadis doesn't...
What the schmuck?
Yeah, like, Jadis doesn't
it's a family program.
Okay.
Jadis doesn't break for a second. She basically looks at Negan and Rick and is like, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Let's see how this all pans out. And she does. It does. Her moves do eventually get her entire people, you know, slaughtered, and then she has to put them through a meat grinder. So it doesn't always work for her, but just her general I'm gonna do it. Just her general autonomy to me is very impressive.
I don't know how I forgot this, that they speak like in this like dumb like Yoda
Yes.
talk, but not even Yoda. It's just like cavemen talk. I was like, wait, you guys were people before this, right? Like, did you just learn how to speak?
They were people who were like extremely, extremely pretentious, maybe successful artists, but probably not.
She's like, bad guys kill will me do. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah, she has a total yikes moment when she looks at Michonne and she's like, she is yours? And I'm like,
And she's like, I will lay with him after. And Michonne's like,
God,
what?
yeah.
And I love how Rick just slowly backs away.
The scavengers at first kind of bugged me because they felt like people I meet on a daily basis who are trying very, very, very hard. But at the same time, I'm glad they all found their people in the apocalypse.
Alexander, who's your loser this week?
Oh, Rick.
Rick.
He did not have a good episode.
I really hope Rick's performance review came before, either before he met Negan or after season 8, because it's just 2 straight seasons of very questionable decisions. Well, not decisions, but just
Rick.
bad luck.
Yeah, she shoots him in the side and then shoves him off like this like high place there.
She creates his own.
This is like this. How many times can Rick get shot in that side?
I know.
It happened in the pilot. It happened here, and like I like that like. Just like cut to a few moments later, he's just walking with like a mild limp.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, didn't you get shot in your like the side of your body?
Rick really does fail up in this episode because none of the reasons he survived have anything to do with him. Like Ezekiel came at the very best second. Jadis twisted on him, and that was an ally that he probably shouldn't have trusted as much as he really wanted to.
Yeah, Rick is the main character in like an open world survival video game.
Yeah.
He just respawns.
He really does. Woody, quick question for you. I don't know if you've considered
Yep.
this, but who's your winner this week?
Well, I only thought about it right this moment.
Yeah.
No, it's Ezekiel. My man is out there saying his kingly things, giving a pep talk to Morgan.
With a saber.
That's just pretty excellent. He's just unleashing Shiva like the hero ability that he has. And then like rolls with his whole like squad. He's got Sweet Jerry as the standard bearer. He's just, I don't know. He has so much swagger through the entire episode that you just remember like this was this guy at like peak levels. Like he was great.
Capricious malevolence.
Oh, so good.
I'm like, Zeke, what the hell are you talking about?
No one knows. It doesn't matter. It sounds fantastic. Like when he's giving the pep talk to Morgan, I forgot some of the bits, but like I was looking at it being like, you are actively thinking in like Thor speak.
Yeah.
Like you didn't used to do this, but you've started to like, you are the character now. Like, does he have to think about like, okay, here's what I want to say, but I put it through like King speak, or does he just think in King speak?
Yeah.
It was great. Sidebar, like the Spec Ops team that he fields as their of like the Kingdom folks. He's got himself, Zeke. He's got Carol, the Terminator. He's got Morgan, who's in full on like murder is fine mode again. Shiva, the fucking tiger WMD, and Sweet Jerry, who doesn't even need a weapon. He's just carrying the banner.
Yeah,
like
he's awesome.
Who is there a stronger like starting five that they could go up against at this point? Like I don't know.
Who would you say your loser is this week?
Well, only one person can come out on top in the fancy speak department, and so my loser is Eugene.
Oh.
He has at least like 4 different distinct goddamn moments like that happen within like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he gives Sasha the means to kill herself, but like she lies to him where he's like, hey, you didn't take the murder pill that I gave you, right? She's like, nope, absolutely not. And then has a crack about like Eugene says something about like only like whoever's gonna die today, like that's their choice. And she's like, yep. You gave me the means to do that. Thanks, bud. Put me in the coffin. He tries to... him trying to talk down Rick with the, like, I don't want it to go to 11, buddy, but, like, you know, he arrives saying, what did he say? The test is upon you, and I'm giving out the cheat sheet. Like... And everybody just looks at this dude being like, what is with your fucking Johnny Cash clothes? Like, no, Eugene, we want to speak to Negan. Nobody gives a shit about you.
What did you guys think of this episode? Because I really enjoyed this finale. It makes me mad that, like, to know, like, we had to wait another 16 episodes for this to all be resolved. Like, you know, we've talked about this before. I do not think All Out War should have been a full season, but I get, you know, why it was. You know, I would have probably taken out one of the Sasha Abraham scenes. I think it went on just a little bit too much. But otherwise, like, I thought this finale had a lot of meat. What do you guys think?
I like how victorious it feels. Like it's been a long time. I mean, the last episode I watched was 701, and it's just that's a downer. And this one, the victory was still palpable. Like despite not having seen that entire season all the way through in several years, it still feels there's still a palpable feeling of, yeah, take that, Negan, and then he rides out giving his middle finger, and that's cool too.
Woody, what did you think about this finale?
The score was good. Like the music when the battle is really going is great. I think there were some good individual performances. It was nice to see some nice moments with Sasha and Abraham, and there are individually some pretty good like lines in it. I didn't honestly. All of season 7's kind of a wash for me,
yeah.
and this didn't get me there again. I was glad with where we ended up and stuff, but I feel like I don't know if we had been really economical with what we were or we as if like we're making the show, but it just seems like it took too long to get there.
Yes. I would have made 716 708. I think you could have gotten from 701 to
Yeah.
708 easy. And I think like I agree. Season 7 definitely went on a little bit too much. And we're not crazy for saying that, by the way, because Tom Payne said the exact same thing 2 weeks ago. So
so we're just, don't blame us. Blame Tom Payne.
Yeah, this is really what we're doing. Yeah, we're blaming Tom Payne here. Sorry, buddy. All right, now we're going to go on to a new segment that we'll never revisit again called Death Song.
Death Song!
Talking about a death song. All right, so let's pretend that you guys were in Sasha's position. You're in a coffin getting carted to Alexandria. You have a plan that you are just going to die and reanimate and surprise and ruin Negan's plans, okay? And Eugene gives you an iPod. Let's say it's filled with every song that you could possibly want. What are you listening to on this ride? I know it's kind of a morbid segment, but I'm just interested to hear.
That depends entirely on the song.
Yeah, Woody, let's start with you.
My first thought was A Day in the Life by the Beatles, because, that seemed, but it was a little on the nose. And I would like to think that I, would be in the coffin just really like rollicking out to it, being like, oh, this is going to kill. They're not going to be ready for this. So I'm going to say Knights of Sidonia by Muse.
Oh, Knights of Sidonia is one of the most satisfying songs of all time. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's like 7 minutes long, but it is fantastic.
Ooh.
The payoff is so worth the build-up.
I've never heard this song. I'm so excited now. Thanks, guys.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, my God.
Alexandra, what would your song be?
My song would be, now it's one of two, though, because I didn't think of the Decemberists before I wrote down the first one. And I feel like the Decemberists are a band that really understand death, but that's a story for another day. The first one is Lightning Crashes by Live.
Good choice.
It's like my.
That's a great song.
It's like one of my perennial favorite songs, and like since it was available on cassette tape, like so when I was maybe 11 or 12, I remember just hearing that song and being like, "Whoa, what is this?" And then it was years later that I listened to it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is all about living and dying."
I really couldn't decide on one song. There's so many. I mean, there's the obvious one. That Soul Meets Body by Death Cab for Cutie, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. There is
I like Don't
a really
Stop Me
fun
Now.
one that is great to like kind of like go off on is La Vie Boheme from Rent. So fun. Even La Vie Boheme Part 2. I would close it out. You want to do like a rock anthem probably, but okay, so this is really embarrassing what I'm going to admit right now, but my roommates and I have been watching Sesame Street on HBO Max, and Elmo actually started a late night talk show called the Not Too Late Show with Elmo, and he ends it every show. It's like a 14-minute episode. He ends it with this like really chill song to try to get kids to go to sleep. So he does this like night song, and it is like so calming. Like you just want to like curl up in a little cloud and just float away. If that's what I'm dying to, I just want to be at peace.
I like that.
So
that's a good one.
That is.
Thank you, Elmo.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to move on to one of our favorite segments, if you're not Alexandra, Apocatips.
Apologize. I love Apocatips.
Alexandra, I'm actually going to start with you. What is your Apocatip this week?
Yes. Well, thank you for asking, Johnny. I'm glad you're here. My Apocatip this week is that coffins are most likely, more often than not, airtight. So unless you are, unless you are 100% positive that you are going to come back a walker when you die, if that's what caused your apocalypse, and you think that you bursting out of this coffin will provide a strategic advantage to your side, don't lock yourself in a coffin. You're going to, just don't. That's not a strategically sound move, and your death will not be worth it.
I mean, just ask Paul Conroy, played by Ryan Reynolds in the movie Buried. It doesn't go well.
Oof. Exactly.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that movie until right this moment. Oh dear.
I don't remember that movie. Who was in that movie? Pardon me, gentlemen.
Ryan Reynolds in a coffin. End of list. The whole movie takes place in the coffin.
Seriously?
Yeah, the whole movie takes place in the coffin.
It's called Buried.
Oh, and this is amazing. Not a comedy. Oh dear. I have a feeling this movie didn't do so well.
Woody, what is your pocket tip this week for the good people out there?
I have a great Apocatip for you folks. Look, if you're stepping into a massive battle where there's going to be a lot of guns and everybody's going to be shooting each other, but you also kind of know that your side's about to betray the other group, carry around a red umbrella. You will survive, and people will remember you. And you know what? You might end up using that red umbrella at some point, too.
That is fantastic. Very specific.
Was I the only person who saw that guy as he's just, like, strolling through, like, Crispin Glover being like, what is this?
I mildly remember that. Wait, explain to the good people out there who may not recall, because this happened, this came out in 2017.
There's an extra, like one of the scavengers when they like all deploy out of their like garbage trucks, which like they've forgotten that they roll around in garbage trucks.
That was the funniest part of the episode.
At first I thought like, oh, these are the saviors who like are rolling in to like get their stuff. But
it's incredibly on brand. Like Jadis created a lifestyle brand. Jadis was an influencer before this.
It was like trash chic.
Yeah, derelict from Zoolander. So this dude, like Slender Man, just like slinks out of the garbage truck carrying a bright red umbrella. Everybody else is strapped, and here's this dude being like, "Unless you're the fucking Penguin, like this is not intimidating whatsoever." And then they show him later on just like strolling around with this red umbrella, and you can't help but notice the guy who clearly wants to be noticed, and it kind of pays off because like it explains. When the tide of the battle turns and the survivors are going after the scavengers and the saviors, Daryl can't open the gate.
Oh.
And they reveal that the way they did that was by him jamming, like the red umbrella is like in the works, basically.
Oh, when you said that, Woody, I was like, wait a minute, I remember a red umbrella from somewhere. And yeah, I rewatched that this morning after having not seen it in quite some time. And which means is I miss a lot of details. And yeah, I was like, wait, why am I looking at Daryl looking at this red umbrella? So thank you. And now I want to go back and see like jaunty red umbrella man.
His name is Jonathan Reel. I looked this up afterwards. I'm like, this guy has to exist on the internet. The wiki says his name is Jonathan Reels. So
if you were like trying to convince someone you were a famous actor, but they weren't familiar with you, and they're like, "Oh, really? What's your Hollywood name?" and you're like, Jonathan," and then you're like in a movie theater and you look up at the projector and you're like, "Reels?" and they're like, "Yeah, that sounds right."
Johnny, would it surprise you that the wiki has his last name spelled as a Z at the end?
No, that can't be right.
Oh my God, you guys, was he buried?
Yes, he was the coffin. He was
the coffin. Yeah, he's a really method
I'm looking
actor.
at one of the trailers on IMDb, and the screenshot that it's saved on as the title card is "He has a mobile phone."
Fantastic. You gotta put butts in the seats.
I might need to watch this.
My Apocatip this week is simple. Don't trust garbage people. Now, this can mean anything. In terms of The Walking Dead, it means don't trust people that you met who their survival camp is located in a literal dump, where they are garbage people, they drive garbage trucks, they have garbage language, and garbage personalities.
This
and
is
also,
all true.
Loyalty, garbage.
I also want to make the record clear that Johnny is also very much against waste management professionals.
Yeah. Yes. If you pick up my garbage, I will scream at you. I will sick my dogs on you if you try to pick up my garbage.
I trust those people implicitly. So.
And that wraps up Apocatips this week. I hope you guys take these pieces of valuable advice to heart and you apply them to your everyday life. Because obviously we are not getting out of this pandemic anytime fucking soon because we live in the Florida of countries. Okay.
Whoa. I feel seen.
Am I wrong?
No.
Am I wrong?
No.
All right.
No.
Now we're going to go on to our special guest. Guys, this was hard to get. Like I said, this was my white whale, or should I say white tiger, or should I say orange tiger. We got Shiva herself, who is also named Shiva in real life. Shiva is our guest this week.
It finally happened.
Will you please ask her about her nail routine?
The interview's already over, but, I will send you what I think she would have said. Shiva was such a great guest, and we did kind of dive into some controversial questions that people have about her, specifically if she's actually real. And, she laid it to rest. So I'm excited. Yeah, and I think
How dare they ask that?
I know. Well, I asked that. But
the YouTube videos didn't help.
I guess it's fine.
Without further ado, let's get into that interview right now. Roll it past me. Our guest this week is the incredible actor who played Shiva on The Walking Dead. You also know her from Life of Pi, The Jungle Book, and the Hangover movies. Shiva, welcome to Talk Dead to Me. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. I ask this of everyone. How are you holding up in quarantine?
I definitely miss the outdoors. I just don't think that being caged up in my home like a wild animal just is not for me.
Right. Yeah. But you actually, you grew up in Oklahoma. That was basically your life, right?
Yeah, I usually don't bring up my past, but yeah, I did grow up in a prison run by an eccentric human who had a mullet, came in third place for the governor's race.
Wait, are you talking about Joe Exotic from Tiger King?
Yeah. Thought I wouldn't have to talk about this, but I guess it's a popular show on Netflix now, so can't escape it, I guess.
But you did escape the sanctuary, right?
Oh, yeah. One day, Joe and his husband, they just drove off naked on their ATVs. So I just leapt over a fence, mauled a gardener, and I just bounced.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really harrowing story. Did you get spotted by anyone, like any strangers or anything?
Yeah. Well, luckily, a guy in the Escalade actually picked me up on the side of the road. It was Mike Tyson's driver, actually. He
Wow.
looked at me all dirty and covered in blood, and he was like, now we can make the movie.
Huh. By the movie, did he mean The Hangover?
No, actually, he meant his kid's student film reimagining of the musical Cats. But once Iron Mike saw me, he said, I need her for The Hangover.
Wow. Mike Tyson, the legend. So,
Yeah.
So then it was off to Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Off to Vegas. Thankfully, Jeff Lowe, he had me prepared for the experience. So, yeah.
So you're in one of the biggest movie franchises of the decade, and then you get a call from Ang Lee.
Yeah. So Ang, he was just like, I got a boat, I got an actor, and I got a camera. You want to make a movie? And I'm like, yeah, I'll bring my green screen.
Wow, you just had a green screen. So was it difficult to pretend you're in the middle of the ocean?
In my mind, we were in the middle of the ocean. You see, when you're an actor, you kind of have to play the role. So you have to play a lawyer, or a doctor, or a tiger. You just become that role.
What was the last one?
Yeah, so then I bounced around, and eventually I got a call from Scott Gimple. He's like, I got a zombie, a king, and a hit show. You want to be in The Walking Dead? And I'm like, yeah, I'll bring my green screen.
The green screen's getting a lot of work. So
yeah,
you book the role, you meet the actors, and you get to have some pretty memorable scenes throughout. What does Kari Payton smell like?
It smells like Dior cologne and hot Cheetos. I remember it like it was yesterday.
So this week, we're doing these rewatches, and we're watching the season 7 finale where you got to maul a savior. What was that like?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was great. Something a lot of fans don't know actually is that we did 5 takes of that, and each one I actually got to maul the extra playing that savior. I believe we went through about 5 actors before legal called and complained, but we still got the shot though, so that's good.
I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up, but I've heard about that and other incidents on set. Is that actually what led to your character getting killed off in season 8?
I mean, some might say that. In reality, it's just my time. The writers never really listened to my request to have a love interest, and I kept mauling extras. So I got the call one night, and that was it.
Wow. So is that why Cal and Eduardo haven't been seen since then?
No comment.
Okay. Now, also, sort of a controversial question, but this is Talk Dead to Me. We have hard-hitting questions. A lot of people are saying that you're just a guy in a blue mocap suit. What do you have to say to that?
That's ridiculous. I actually have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just a normal tiger. I've never heard of motion capture or computers or trampolines for that matter. But, fans, they like to have their theories. So really, what can you do,
All right, yeah, I'll take your word for it. One last question. Would you rather fight 1 Bradley Cooper-sized goose or 5 Ang Lee-sized geese?
Definitely 1 Bradley Cooper-sized goose. I would eat the hell out of him, just like I did with the real Bradley Cooper.
Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I haven't seen him since A Star is Born. Well, thank you. I think that actually wraps up this interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Are there any upcoming projects you're excited for?
Yeah, I'm actually finishing a semi-autobiographical sci-fi novel based on my career and time in Joe Exotic Sanctuary. It's called Joe Robotic, The Life of the Walking Hangover. And Netflix actually already bought the rights to it.
Well, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. And, we'd love to have you back on at any time. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And that was my interview with Shiva the tiger. I think she's real. Do you guys think she's real?
Oh, I just saw a video interview with her. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, the evidence is clear as day.
Before we wrap up, we are going to go on to stray arrows. These are some observations about the episode we had that didn't fit into another segment, but we're going to fit them in here. Alexandria, why don't you start us off? What are your stray arrows this week?
Just a quick hit on the sheer amount of firearms and bullets this episode. I think like the one not pleasant thing I would say, the one fly in the ointment of this episode for me, because you had me at Shiva, just attacking some dude in the background of Negan almost killing Carl. So there's nothing else they could really do to upend that. But I was also like, this is a lot of guns. Where did they all come from? Really?
When Negan says, like, I know you've got a lot of guns, you know you've got a lot of guns.
Yeah.
I love how every time, like, in a big battle, they always show Daryl, and he has, like, some, like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 weapon, where he has, like, something with, like, a holographic sight, and you're just like, wait, which military did you...
Seriously.
How did you get this weapon?
I remember, like, hearing once at... I don't know if it was Melissa McBride that said it, but it was, I think, a member of the cast that was pointing out at Comic-Con. She's like, one of the reasons that... we're so proud to be on the show is that it's a show that reaches across the aisle. It's like it's enjoyed kind of equally by both red and blue states, which is not typical of a lot of entertainment that can also be pretty polarizing. And this is the part where I was like, oh yeah,
True.
this is the welcome to the gun show part of The Walking Dead, which a lot of people enjoy way more than me.
But it kind of makes sense that, like, because it's in Georgia where, like, everybody, or, like, the South where, like, a lot of folks have guns for many numbers of reasons.
Yeah.
And, like, generally do enjoy to have them, like, tricked out because, let's face it, they look cool. And, like, it makes sense that, like, you would have some more available. Although, to go into the, like, The Walking Dead is secretly a video game, like, Daryl has absolutely unlocked the infinite ammo sheet, because I don't know how many bullets he was firing from that gun, but, like, he never reloaded or anything like that. Like, a quarter of the world's bullets were used in that one battle, I think, left in the apocalypse.
So many.
Alexandra, did you have another one?
It's a question, actually, because this is something I didn't notice the first time around when I watched this. I always liked Abraham and Sasha, but I did not think they were as a major enough couple to deserve quite the amount of attention that they got this episode.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I felt the first time I watched it. But this time I watched it and I was like, wait a minute. Are we looking at a fantasy that she's reliving knowing what she knows and she's savoring this last memory, or is this actually what happened?
I'm going to say that it's a real memory, but it's embellished a little bit with like, you know, when you think back to like a treasured memory and like you fill in little details that maybe were right or maybe not. Like, I feel it's one of those things. If only for the line when he says, let's kick shit and eat snakes. I was like, this is great. Did he come up with this in the moment? Maybe.
Probably. Abraham was good at stuff like that.
What are your stray arrows?
I've just got a couple just to also touch on while we're talking about Big Red. Abraham, like Anakin Skywalker, hates sand and how it gets everywhere.
Fair.
Yep.
Fair.
Michonne got Andrea's fake out death from the comics.
Yes, I meant to mention that. That is 100% what happened. That was like a big. That's a memorable cover, comic cover. With Andrea, like, you know, just leaning out the tower.
So so when does Andrea die in the Whisperer conflict?
Yeah, essentially in like the epilogue.
So Alpha's obviously dead, but the Whisperer War is winding down, but they still have this giant herd that they have amassed, and basically Andrea and, you know, a few others are trying to basically just lead them off a cliff and get rid of them, and in that mission she gets bit.
There's a moment when Dwight gets back. Yes, Dwight was running he was basically like training the army for Rick, and he gets back after the war being like, hey, yeah, we took care of the Whisperers, like Beta's on the run, and we took care of that horde you talked about. Like, Rick's like, oh, that's amazing, how did you do that? He's like, well, it was just, you know, a few hundred, it wasn't that bad. And Rick's like, what, a few hundred? Like, yeah, it was hundreds of thousands. Like, it made a noise like the ocean. Like, no, we're not even close to fucking done here. Yeah. And then you go to the horde and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is terrible. Jumping on to one thing that I just forgot about until just this moment. Negan really had a strong first impression with that pool table, huh?
Yep.
Seriously.
I can't tell if he was sitting in the sanctuary being like, I'm going to get their guns. Oh, I want that fucking pool table. We ruined the ping pong table that we got a couple weeks ago. Like the net sags. I don't know how to fix it. But that pool table, that'll look real great right over here.
Like he can be doing literally the most fucked up shit, like about to kill a child. And you're still like, pool tables. He was looking out.
I did like the moment at the very end where Negan greeted all the saviors, being like, let's go to war. Like, remember the point system? Double XP weekend. And everybody's like, yes, let's go. I did notice, just real quick, talking about the conversation that he has with Sasha. Like, I was watching it with subtitles on, and I did notice that, like, he starts at 1. He's like, only 1 person has to die, maybe 2. And then he gets to, later on in the scene, he's like, Lucille gets her 3. Like, he starts subtly upping the body count as he's talking to her through that scene.
Yeah, and also, he just seems like a completely different character from the Negan we now know, you know? I mean, obviously they have the same, like, charm, but God, like, he was such a villain here. Even though, like, he's one of my favorite characters, so I, like, secretly root for him. I don't want him to kill any main characters, but, you know, he's just so fun to watch.
I feel like he's a good foil to Rick in the sense that Rick is a guy whose morality is pretty unquestionable throughout this series. There's, outside of like him murdering a bunch of people in their sleep, Rick fends off foes. Rick is not the foe, and I think Negan has kind of managed to fit in this story as somebody who sacrificed his humanity and is trying to get it back.
I agree. My final stray arrow, I really love this explanation from Dwight up front where they're like, if you hate Negan so much, why don't you just kill him? And he's like, they're all Negan.
Yeah.
And that's great because he's like, Negan doesn't even, most of the time, doesn't have a gun. And he just has a bat. He's just a guy with a bat. Like, and he surrounds himself with people who have guns. And it's like, this could be so easy to just end this whole thing and the point system and all of this. But Dwight's like, no, they're all completely bought in. If I kill Negan, that doesn't solve the problem. One of them will assume the Negan thing. And we ended up seeing that play out in the following season when Simon, you know, intentionally makes Negan go missing and leaves him for dead and assumes the Negan role and then immediately marches to Hilltop and fucking does that whole nightmare scenario where he like turns everybody with like the, you know, the infected arrows.
Simon really did fucking suck, man.
And that wraps up Stray Arrows and the entire podcast. So thank you guys so much for listening. I had a lot of fun rewatching this episode. Next week, we are going to be going on to Season 8, and we have a very special guest who played Simon. We were just talking about him, Stephen Ogg.
Ooh, boy.
He's so amazing. I can't wait to talk to him.
He might show up in your house, like, in the middle of it. Like, he might like, reveal that he's been in your closet for the last 6 days. Like,
I hope he was. He's like the Babadook. He just is there. You know?
Yep.
He doesn't really go away. I see him in mirrors. Anyway, we will see you next week. As always, happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate. We miss you.
How does Shiva know who to attack? Like, how can she distinguish between the Alexandrians?
That is a very good point.